Fellas, how are we doing? Merry Christmas from Occupy Fantasy. I'm Chuck Silver. This is Smitty. We're here to talk to you about the Christmas slate on DraftKings and FanDuel. I'm sure a lot of you guys have been racking up tickets. We've been talking about it in the Discord. So hopefully we get a pretty good slate today, Smitty. What do we think about our favorite slate of the year?
Yeah, Merry Christmas to everyone. Should be a good one. Fun to late swap on these slates, especially when the field isn't paying attention. So it's a good slate. We have some good games, so ready to break it down.
Yeah, if you've ever watched any of our NFL short slate videos with Brian and Jack, one of the things we talk about is we can kind of late swap with perfect information because each game is timed so that we know what happened in the previous game. Usually, maybe overtime happens and they overlap a little bit, but for the most part, we'll know where we're at in our lineups. And for example, you have a few players from the Cleveland New York game who underperform. Maybe you just swap to some lower owned guys to try to save that min cash, or you hit on a couple low owned guys in the early games. You can swap a little more chalky in the later games, depending on your contest size. So, lots of cool things we can do with late swap. Any overall notes before we dive into this first game?
No, we do have some questionable tags that I think are at least worth mentioning. One being in the first game, Evan Mobley, a big one. Luca is expected to play, but he's also questionable, along with Rui. And then Sengun's questionable, pretty big one. Dallas also has some. We should know the Mobley before the slate starts. The rest are you just kind of have to play it by ear.
I'd like to think most of those questionable tags will play. Of course, there could always be someone that doesn't. But Christmas, I got to think these guys care a little bit more to hop on the court today. And Mobley is the most interesting one there because FanDuel left him at the minimum price. So that would be a one. I mean, for me, I think it's just like we get a free square in the first game if Mobley ends up starting. He's 3,500. I think we just take it, right?
Yeah, I think if he plays, you just play him, especially if he starts. Even off the bench, though, I think he's pretty tough to avoid because there's not any other value plays on the slate that you feel that good about.
Yeah, even coming off the injury, I mean, if we gave him 20 minutes, he would be pretty close to a lock, I think. Hate to use the L word, especially on Christmas, but if he gets any more than 20 minutes, he's just the best play on the slate.
Yeah, it's tough. Just looking at all the other value plays, it's not even comparable, really. So at that point, I think it's when it feels like really good chalk.
Over on DraftKings, though, we'll dive into the rest of Cleveland. We talked about the guards, I think, when Nick and I were on a couple of days ago, Darius and Donovan. Donovan looked like he was having a good game, and then Darius just exploded, and he ended up being the tournament winner. I guess that was two slates ago. But how do you want to handle Cleveland, especially at the top end?
Yeah, for me, it's either Garland or Mitchell. I don't want them together. I think it's one or the other. It is a good spot going into New York. Pretty good game environment for Donovan, so I do think he's a good tournament play. The only issue is we have a lot of high end guards that I kind of want to mix in, so I don't see him as a priority play. But he is someone you can get different with. I doubt he comes with very much ownership compared to some of the other stars. So I do think he's a pretty solid tournament play.
Yeah, especially I don't know. I have a thing for Donovan Mitchell when he plays in New York specifically. So I'm hoping he's going to come in at low ownership. He probably does. And it's first game. I don't mind taking a couple shots on the pay up here. Uh, I've been kind of hyping up Jared Allen, saying he's underprojected around the industry, but the industry's smarter than me because he's been doing about what he's been projected for. If Mobley's out, are we okay taking some shots going back to Jared Allen? These minutes in the last two game are not they're not great.
Yeah, I think he would be a little bit better going against the Knicks in this matchup. You have Cat out there, Mitchell Robinson's out there as well. So the Knicks are pretty big. So I do kind of think they need him out there. They've been pretty comfortable with Dean Wade, so it's kind of to be seen. But overall, I still think he's pretty good, especially on FanDuel with the power forward eligibility. I think he looks better there.
Yeah, and I want to say, let's say Evan Mobley's in. Jared Allen's probably going to come in at one, maybe just a few percent ownership. I still don't hate taking GPP shots on him, assuming he comes in with like very, very low ownership. I'm talking 1 to 2%.
Yeah. Yep.
Is there anyone else you are looking at on this team? You mentioned that we're a little bit starved for value today, and Sam Merrill went off. I'm going to get him. I'm pretty sure he's going to be a little bit chalkier on this slate, even though it is the first game. He's a piece of value that we probably know is playing. How would that affect, or how would Evan Mobley be in or out affect your interest in Sam Merrill or any other value plays here?
Yeah, honestly, I think I like Merrill either way. But I do like him more, of course, if Mobley's out. Either way, though, I do think he's a good play. DraftKings, only 4K. Shooting guard, small forward seems really solid. FanDuel 4,300. Still think he's pretty good. He scores better for DraftKings, but overall, still someone I probably want to mix in on FanDuel too. I think he looks good. If Mobley's out, I think you could take shots on like a Hunter, feels kind of thin, but even Dean Wade, Jalen Tyson, I think they're all guys you can mix in. I don't see any other priorities though on for Cleveland.
Yeah, I'm with you there. With Sam Merrill, I just want to mention I'm pretty sure he's going to be chalk. And yeah, he had two really good games in the last three, but a lot of the time, these are the scores we should expect from him. So just be careful with the ownership. I'm definitely still going to have a bunch of him because, like I said, he is guaranteed value that we know we're going to have in the first game.
Yep.
Going to the other side, New York, Jalen Brunson just he's going to return from a one game absence, maybe has a little bit of extra rest. We saw Tyler Kolek go off. He's still 3,700. I'm not sure how interested you are in him, but what do you want to do with these Knicks starters?
Yeah, I do think Brunson's interesting. Similar to Mitchell, just someone that can take over a game. Probably not going to be as high on, but he might be. So I do think he's a pretty decent tournament play, kind of like all these guys. Point guard only, which makes it kind of tough. You mentioned Kolek. I do think he's kind of shown that he's earned more minutes. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if he played mid 20s minutes, maybe even a few more. But yeah, I think he is in play. He's kind of a pivot to Merrill. I could see that.
I like that call. Yeah, different position. And I will mention point guard to me is super valuable today. So it's a little bit scary to use up our point guard spot on a 3,700 Tyler Kolek, who's not even going to start today. But yeah, if he gets a few extra minutes since he's been playing well, he's a pretty good fantasy producer. Like, this is ridiculous that he's capable of putting up 45 and 53. It's not like he played max minutes. He didn't play Brunson's usual minutes. Brunson was out for those games, but this would be a high risk pivot for value. Hopefully, he comes in super low owned, and we can just take a little bit of advantage of that.
Yep.
Jordan Clarkson, kind of like a little pivot. I think he's just a value GPP play, not a guy that I would want much of. I guess he did get 30 minutes without Brunson in the last game, but we're more likely to see the 16 to 18 range unless maybe he's playing really well.
Yeah, someone you could take shots on. Definitely better on DraftKings.
Anything else you wanted to mention on the Knicks? I was trying to see what my interest was in Mikal Bridges specifically because I like Brunson and I like Cat.
Yeah, I think Bridges on DraftKings looks pretty reasonable. Small forward, kind of a tough position to fill normally. On
Mhm.
FanDuel, where he's 7,200, kind of a little harder to get to. You could pay $200 more for Josh Hart on FanDuel, which feels a lot better to me. And then OG on FanDuel is only 6,400. Feels like a pretty decent price, so I don't mind mixing in OG. Towns is also pretty cheap on FanDuel. DraftKings center only, so a little more difficult, but on FanDuel where he has power forward eligibility, I do think he's someone we're going to want to mix in. And then we kind of have the Mitchell Robinson conversation. Do you have any interest in Robinson?
As a GPP play, yeah, another guy that, assuming he comes in with less than 10% ownership, again, it's really tough to take shots on a guy like this in the first game, but he can win you a tournament if he ends up having a really good game.
Yeah, that's kind of what I think about him too. On DraftKings, where you can play two centers, he looks better, but he scores better for FanDuel.
Mhm.
And a lot of people are going to be paying up for centers on FanDuel, so you kind of change your roster construction by going with like a value center. So I do think he's at least someone I want to get to a few percent of, but no priority at all.
Nice. Going to the next game, San Antonio, OKC. These guys play each other every other week. Third time they've played each other recently, and the Spurs took both of them, right?
Yep.
We saw Victor Wembanyama come off the bench the last few games. I still don't understand why. Coaches have talked about maybe they can control the minutes a little bit easier, but like, what are we doing, fellas? We're talking about top three player in the NBA. You mentioned before the stream maybe you think they would end up just starting him today.
Yeah, I think it's definitely on the table at least. I don't think there's anything we can do before the slate unless you wanted to bump him up a few projection points and hope that he does start. But it's just something to keep an eye on. Maybe the field's asleep when those starting lineups come out, or maybe they come out a little late. So if he's starting, I would feel pretty good about taking some shots there. Like whatever his minutes are projected for, you could probably comfortably add at least 4 to 5 minutes to it. Say he's projected for 24 minutes, which might be about what he's at. 23 to 24. He looks a lot better if you go to 27.
Yeah, I feel like even if I put him at 27, he still wouldn't really be projected well enough to hit my lineup. So maybe I'd have to force in a little bit more. But we've seen Wemby's ceiling, and what you said about since this is a second game late swapping, everyone's off. No one's really working, right? But a lot of people are spending time with their families. So I still don't think the field late swaps as much as they should be on Christmas. And so any unexpected news that we get after the first game logs could potentially be an advantage for us. So this isn't something we're going to make our whole day, our whole day depend on Victor Wembanyama having a good game. But I think it would be good to get a few percent because he's going to come in with no ownership.
Yeah,
I think our next player we're pretty interested in here is Stephon Castle. I will mention that his two games against OKC recently, he hasn't put up a good fantasy score, but I'm kind of hoping that the field just doesn't play him also, and we can get him at super low ownership.
yeah. Kind of my thought too. I think he looks good. I think part of it too is when they play OKC, he has a big defensive responsibility against him, so it's kind of harder for him to focus as much offensively. But overall, still someone I want to take shots on. You know, his minutes are going to be there, whether Wimby starts or don't start. It don't really affect him. Him and Wimby are actually pretty close, so when they share the court, I feel pretty good about that. But either way, I think Castle's really good. Point guard, shooting guard helps. I want to get there. I prefer going there over Fox, but Fox is probably very minimally owned. So someone I think we could still take some shots on.
Yeah, and OKC is a tough team to want to target players against, but this Spurs team, I really think this is a great dynasty in the NBA over the next few years. I really like these players, so I don't mind getting to a few percent of anyone. I don't think anyone's a priority. I mentioned Castle first, but I mean, it's going to be tough to get more than maybe 10 to 15% if I even get that much. Who else are you looking at for value, though? We do have some guys, and I could see any of these guys Harrison Barnes, Champagne, Keldon Johnson, having a good game and being a useful value piece, probably at lower ownership.
Yeah, it's kind of tough. I think Vassell, the way his position is, I think he's at least in play, kind of at that mid range. Harrison Barnes is kind of fine. Like if he makes it to a few lineups, I'm okay with it. Cornette, I think, is in play on DraftKings if Wemby's coming off the bench and Cornette continues to start. I think he's at least playable. Other than that, you're kind of just taking shots. Like I think Dylan Harper is in play, someone in a big game that could definitely play more minutes. So I think Harper looks like a pretty good GPP option. If I had to get to someone else off the bench, it's probably Keldon Johnson just because of his upside. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, Keldon. Well, I look at Keldon and Harrison Barnes as very, very similar players. Harrison starts most of the time, and we're kind of just hoping one of them hits more threes and gets a couple more rebounds that day.
Yep.
Maybe if there's a wide ownership gap between them, that can help us decide who to play a little bit more of if you have to make that decision.
Yeah.
Going to the other side of this game, OKC, I am getting a ton of SGA in my very early runs. I don't know if I mentioned this yet, but the pricing is kind of soft on DraftKings. I noticed everyone's a little bit lower owned or a little bit lower priced than they have been on recent slates. I don't know when they posted this contest. Maybe that has something to do with it. But 10-5 for SGA, even with Jalen Williams back, I think this is a fine price to get to. I think he's going to be kind of owned tomorrow, or I'm expecting him to be anyway today.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of how I feel too. I think he's going to be one of the more owned pay up. People like to play SGA. I'm even getting to quite a bit on FanDuel at 11.4. So someone I think the field's going to get to quite a bit. But I mean, it's hard to really poke holes. He looks good. If the game is close, which I expect it to be, he's going to be out there quite a bit. So I do think he's in play, but there's plenty of high end guards to kind of rotate in. I don't think he's a priority by any means.
Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, the point guard is very valuable. Most of these teams have a stud point guard, so we don't want to get married to one necessarily.
Yep.
Chet Holmgren and Hartenstein are expected to return. We did see Brandon Carlson fail as a mega chalk last time or 2 games ago. 18 fantasy points is not going to get it done. But Chet and Hartenstein are both back. I think they're both just GPP plays, but I think they're fine. I'm comfortable getting to a few percent. Neither one of them are guys I want to target. And as for Jalen Williams, assuming he comes in at like sub 5% ownership, I'm okay getting there. He hasn't had a blown up game this season yet. Maybe he's had one. And so, what's your interest in those three guys?
Yeah, Jalen Williams, kind of like you said, it kind of depends on his ownership. If he's coming in highly rostered by the field, someone I'd kind of get away from just because we haven't really seen it. I'd rather him just show me it first before I play him. And then the bigs, I think on FanDuel, they're kind of in play. Hartenstein kind of comes in like how I said about Mitchell Robinson. He's kind of like that mid range center that I do think is in play on FanDuel. 6K, pretty decent price. And then Chet also 7,300. I don't think there will be any hard minutes cap on him. Power forward eligible on FanDuel, which is pretty big. So 7,300, I think you could definitely go there.
Yeah, Chet seems like such a good candidate to ruin Christmas if you don't have him because he goes off. Just look at
Mm-hmm.
his face, dude. He's already like making fun of us for not playing him today,
Like the
tomorrow.
Grinch, man.
What about the value plays? Anyone that we're looking at here?
Not really. It's kind of hard. Like they're just dart throws, really. Dort plays minutes, but you never know what he's going to do. So I think you can mix like him and Caruso in. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, Dort, Wallace, Wiggins, Caruso, Isaiah Joe. Could one of them do something and we wouldn't be that surprised? Absolutely. But how are we ever going to pick which one? And this is just from this team. They're basically at full strength almost. I mean, AJ Mitchell's out, but that's not really going to create too much with the main players in today. So, not too much interest in these value plays, but maybe something pops up before this game starts.
Yep.
Let's take a look over at the 5 Eastern game, Dallas versus Golden State. Yeah, you mentioned Clay's questionable, but he's going to play in this game. He's only 3,900. I had a bunch of Clay on the previous slate. He actually kind of went off. 17
Yeah,
shots
he
is a
did.
lot for him. We're not expecting him to take 17 shots, but 3,900. I think this is a value play that we're going to be looking at.
Yep. I think so too. Also on FanDuel, he's only 3,900. Small forward and shooting guard. So seems like a pretty good value play. I feel better about him too if PJ happens to be out. I do
Mhm.
think he's better. But if assuming everyone's in, I still think he's fine to get to. Kind of seems like a game, especially against the Warriors, that he might get a few extra minutes against.
Yeah, especially you got to think he's going to come out gunning. We kind of have to hope he hits those shots, but if he comes out hitting, he's going to keep pulling. I'm
Yep.
sure he would love to ruin Steph's Christmas. Brandon Williams, if he did we have a lean? Okay, so he's probable. He's probably going to be in. He did leave one of these previous games with an injury. He came back, didn't end up doing anything. I think we were kind of interested in him at 4,100, but he would just be a deep GPP play for me. Kind of the same with Ryan Nemhard.
Yep. All these dudes are kind of in the same bucket, like Nimhard and Brandon Williams. I think they're kind of just GPP plays. I don't mind taking a shot on either. Neither I don't want my night depending on. So just a little bit of them I think is fine. It kind of a lot of it depends on this injury news too. Like Max Christie's questionable as well. I think that kind of plays a role in them, and Clay as well. But yeah, I think all these dudes are fine to mix in. Don't see any as a priority. I do think Najee is interesting at his price tag. Kind of started off hot last time and then fizzled out, but someone I like to mix in.
So at the top end, Anthony Davis's price is actually not like that soft pricing I was talking about earlier, but this is still a good price for AD, just not as much compared to other studs on the slate. Like looking at Cooper Flag, 7,300 on this slate. I guess he was only 7,400 last time. He's priced a lot higher over on FanDuel, but I'm thinking Cooper Flag's going to pull some ownership. So I am actually kind of interested. I know I was like, I'm still not really believing all of the hype. I acknowledge that he's much better much sooner than I expected, but what would be our interest here depending on his ownership?
Yeah, he puts up 70 and his price comes down. It don't really make sense. But yeah, I mean, I think, like you said, it kind of depends on his ownership. If he's really chalk, I probably want to be around the field. No, like I don't want to be above the field. I don't think. If he's,
Mhm.
it kind of depends. Like it's hard without ownership, but if he's mid to low owned, I kind of want to play quite a bit of him.
Yep, I think I feel the same way. Like chalky would be like if he's 30%, that's really high ownership for Cooper Flag on this slate. But if he's 10%, 12, 15%, then that's a spot we can get over a little bit. I'm gonna have some interest in him. He came in super low owned even on the previous slate with did PJ get ruled out really late?
Yeah.
Was that the big one? Yeah, and then
Yep.
Najee, I think we played a bunch of. We did play Cooper too,
Yeah.
but I'm gonna like getting to all these guys. Anthony Davis was popping for us right over on one of the sites, DraftKings maybe.
Yeah. DraftKings. Without any like big adjustments, I was getting a ton of AD. FanDuel, I'm still actually getting to quite a bit of AD as well. It don't feel great like against Golden State on FanDuel, like 10-3, kind of appropriately priced in my opinion, but he is power forward eligible, so I do think that kind of changes it a little there. DraftKings 9,500 seems a little incorrect, but like you said, a lot of these guys are underpriced, so it's not just him. So I do think he's a good play, but kind of want to mix it up a little bit more.
Yeah, I have a feeling he's going to come in as one of the chalkier pay ups on the day, but I'm going to get there. Like I said, I have a ton right now. I'm going to even it out just for the purposes of spreading out my exposures. But if I didn't, with like, I need to rerun my projections, but we're gonna be very interested in AD.
Yep.
On the Golden State side, I hyped him up last time. He didn't really do it, but I love Steph Curry again today. I've been talking about how valuable the point guard spot is. I'm not sure that Steph is going to come in super owned on this slate, but I'm going to hope that he doesn't because I really like taking GPP shots on Steph Curry today.
Yeah, Christmas Steph, man. He's just been doing it with the starting lineup that they have, like they've been running out there. He just has to. Like he's pretty much their whole offense. They set him up, and it's on him to score points. So I do like Steph quite a bit. I think he looks really good. Jimmy's also another one I'm getting to quite a bit on FanDuel, just under 8K. Feel like the minutes should be there. So yeah, I'm pretty interested in Steph and Jimmy on this slate.
Yes, Jimmy Butler was popping a ton for me on the early runs. This is probably a good price for him. I mean, this is the appropriate price. I don't see him as like a soft pricing at 7,800. But yeah, just another player. I don't think he's going to come in super high owned, but I'm pretty interested in him against Dallas. Seems like a game that Jimmy could get up for, and hopefully he hits this 37, 35 minute range.
Yep.
What else were you looking at here? Quentin Post has been getting decent minutes, and then Pat Spencer has been kind of a fun guy to mix in, but I don't know what my interest is in the rest of these guys.
Yeah, not a ton, I don't think. Draymond's kind of a guy you can mix into. Maybe this is a spot he sees some elevated minutes in a Christmas game on FanDuel mainly. 5,800 power forward eligible. I think he's someone you could mix in. Other than that, I mean, Pods. I think he's been playing a little bit more. I think he's at least playable, but not someone I want my day really dependent on. The minutes have been there though. Horford's coming back, which kind of worries me a little bit about Post. He's expected to play at least. And then at Horford at his price, I think he's at least playable.
Yeah, I think so too. I'd be okay getting a few percent of any of these guys. I didn't realize Pods' minutes have been that strong recently. I'm
Yeah.
I'm sure this is a guy we're pretty interested in mixing in unless he comes in with very high ownership.
Yeah. Kind of feels like someone the field isn't really going to adjust to either, just because it's Golden State and their minutes are kind of everywhere. So I do think he's a pretty good tournament play.
In theory, I have interest in DeAnthony Melton, but if he's only going to play 16 minutes, I don't know how we can play him.
Yeah, it's tough. Moody, if he continues to start, I don't mind getting there. 4,400, good positionality. I think he's good to mix in.
Yeah, and he tends to come in lower owned too. If he has this 30-minute potential, we're going to feel pretty good about that 4,100 today.
Yep.
Kaminga's out of the rotation. We're not even considering him, right?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, just trade him already.
Yeah.
And then I will mention Gary Payton. He's 3,300. I guess he pulls maybe around 15% ownership. Maybe that's a little too high, but I don't think he's going to come in unowned. He's had a couple good games in a row, and he's a player that helps us fit in another stud. I don't hate him. 10 minutes is obviously not something we're ever targeting. So maybe check out the minutes projection when the model updates in the morning.
Yeah.
Houston versus my Lakers. So Sengun is questionable. Did you have a? I just think that most of these guys end up playing. So, but did you have a different lean?
No, that's how I feel about it too. Kind of just lean playing.
Let's say he ended up missing though. That would be a crazy late swap that we'd get with Steven Adams and I guess Clint Capella a little bit, but mostly Steven Adams would benefit huge. He'd end up getting the start. We could project his minutes probably in the mid to high 20s, which and like I said, any kind of change that we're not expecting post lock is probably going to be pretty valuable on this slate. So I don't hate that. And then I'm a fan of Jabari Smith Jr. either way, expecting him to come in kind of lower owned too. But I think he's been pretty awesome. This is a really good run of games for him in December. So that's my, I think that's my actual favorite play here. What about you?
I like that. I like Jabari. Even better if Sengun's out because
Yeah.
there's a possibility he could play some backup 5 minutes. So yeah, I do think Jabari's a good play. Sengun, if he's in, I don't mind mixing him in. Power forward eligibility on FanDuel is pretty nice. Going against the Lakers,
On DK
uh,
too. I don't understand it.
he's power forward eligible
Yeah, on
on
DraftKings.
DK.
I don't know
Oh
why.
yeah,
It's not
yeah.
power forward.
So that makes him pretty solid. Kind of your depending on ownership because we don't really know until the model's fully updated, but it could be a pivot to AD. So I do kind of like Sengun.
KD and Amon Thompson are interesting. I don't think they're anything more than that. And then you mentioned to me Reed Shepard, and I kind of like Reed Shepard as a GPP play. His minutes have been really good recently, and I said it how bad my Lakers are on defense. Reed Shepard could cook.
Yeah, I like Shepard quite a bit. Guards against the Lakers have been pretty good. Reed Shepard's price on FanDuel is 6,100, kind of expensive, but I still think he's fine. And then if somehow Sengun is out, I think that benefits him as well if they do decide to kind of go smaller, helps him. But yeah, overall, I like Reed quite a bit. Depending on his ownership, probably someone I'll be pretty overweight on.
I'll mention another guy I'm expecting to come in with low ownership. I'm interested in forcing in a little bit of Tari Eason minutes. If he can get close to 20 minutes, then I think, assuming he comes in sub 5% ownership, this is a pretty decent GPP value play. Remember what I said about my Lakers? Our bench is even worse than our starters on defense, so Tari could just do whatever he wants. Anything else here?
Yep, I feel the same.
Uh, on the other side, the Lakers, we're both expecting Luca to play. Really hoping he does because we are awful without him, apparently. Yeah, he got hurt in the previous game, put up 100 fantasy points the game before that. I'm going to be pretty interested in paying up for Luca. I'm kind of hoping the field doesn't get there. What about you?
Yep, I am too. Both sides. I think he looks really good. Even going against Houston, just seems like a spot Luca gets up for, especially on Christmas. So yeah, I like Luca quite a bit. Someone I plan on being overweight on.
Yeah, Austin came off the bench, and we talked about you had kind of a dumb decision with your Austin exposure the other day. He did not do it, but assuming he slides back into the starting lineup, I'm not confident that we can project him for his usual minutes if this is what he returned to.
Yeah, it's kind of scary. So that's kind of how I feel. To me, assuming Luca does play, probably someone I'm not really going to get to. If I get a few percent, I'm probably okay with that, but um, probably just going to avoid him.
I am too. Yeah, if he's off the bench, we're playing 0% of him. If he starts, I'm gonna assume that he comes in for 0 to 1% ownership, and in that case, I'm okay getting a few percentage of him. But if he's off the bench, there's no confidence in minutes there.
Yeah.
LeBron James, he's been pretty good. Christmas, LeBron is actually pretty good on Christmas. What do you want to do with him?
Yeah, I'm actually pretty interested there. What's his price on DraftKings?
90 was
92,
it 90 93?
93. 93, I think, is still good. On FanDuel, 9K, power forward, small forward. Feels like a really good tournament play. I don't know what his ownership will be. I could kind of see him being a little steamed on FanDuel. Just that 9K price is pretty appealing. But I don't know. There's a lot of good plays on this slate, so maybe he gets forgotten. But either way, I think I want to play quite a bit of LeBron.
Uh, Christmas Day narrative aside, just looking at the past few box scores, LeBron's had a few games that you have to have him if you want to win on Christmas, and he's had a few games that burn you, but he's had more games where you have to have him than not. Obviously, he's a year older, and I don't know how much we're buying into Christmas narrative, but I do think he gets up a little bit more. He cares.
Yep.
As for value plays, I don't know. Mentioned who's my boy here, Jake Laravi on the past few slates. He's up to 5,100 though. It's really tough to get there. Maybe if Austin's off the bench, we can consider him, but I don't think he's a great play.
Yeah, it's kind of tough. He's at least in play. Kind of same with Marcus Smart, but I feel better about Smart. Like he could start if Reeves is off the bench. Then he would become an okay play. Still not great. Rui 4,300 on FanDuel. Like you can mix him in. Don't feel great about him. Kind of mainly just going to be Luca, LeBron, and then maybe Reeves if he starts. Aiton, I guess, is at least worth a mention. Houston's big, so could be a spot where he sees elevated minutes.
Yeah, he's 6,700 on DraftKings. He's going to come in with low ownership. There's almost no way he comes in pulling any kind of ownership. I don't mind that as a GPP shot.
Yeah. Other than that, it's pretty tough to get to anyone else.
Yeah, I don't think Lakers are going to be too owned. Maybe Houston isn't too owned either, so this could be a good game to target. A lot of
Yep.
fantasy points to go around. I am very interested in this last game, though. The Minnesota side of things, Anthony Edwards. We know that him and Denver have some beef, so I'm hoping that he comes to play. His minutes have been huge. He's played 37 plus in what 5 games in a row. I imagine he's not going to be unowned, but this is one of the pay ups that I am more interested in today. Julius is okay. 8,800 is a little uncomfortable. I think he's going to come in with lower ownership. I don't mind mixing him in a little bit too.
Yeah, I'm really interested in both of them. Denver's defense without their guys has been horrible. So I'm pretty interested in targeting them. Plus, we have Jaden McDaniels questionable, which is actually kind of a big deal in terms of minutes. Like, Ant, you probably see, I mean, it's Christmas, so he's probably going to play a lot of minutes anyways. But without McDaniels out there, just kind of more minutes for these guys. And Minnesota they run a tight rotation, so you can feel pretty good about who they're going to play. Ant looks really good, even on FanDuel where he has the elevated price. I kind of like that because I feel like his ownership comes in lower. Randall's only 7,600 on FanDuel. Power forward only seems like a really good play there.
Yeah, that FanDuel price for Randall sounds a lot better than the what 8,800 he is on DraftKings. That's going to
Yeah.
be a really tough one to get to. But here, 7,600 is like a misprice almost.
Yep.
Um,
Uh,
You mentioned Rudy Gobert. I didn't know he was up to 6,900 on FanDuel. He's 6,300 on DraftKings. I think he's a really good GPP play there. I was reading something today. Rudy Gobert is a Defensive Player of the Year candidate again. I don't know if the odds reflect that, but Minnesota has one of the best defenses in the NBA again.
yeah, he's been good, and I like him quite a bit on DraftKings. FanDuel, I do think he's playable. Probably going to be very low owned, like probably less than I would say less than 8% ownership, which feels really good on a 5 gamer. Someone that at his price that can go out and he can put up 50 to 60, and I wouldn't be surprised at all. So I'm pretty interested in Gobert.
His minutes have been insane recently. I'm sure that whatever his minutes projection is, it's not going to be anywhere close to this. So he could be under projected. Maybe they need him a little bit more going against Jokic. I mean, he only played 23 minutes last time they played Jokic. Not too concerned about it. He played 26 minutes the other time, but maybe his minutes didn't have the potential to get there. The coach hated him at that point. Yeah, like Smitty said, he's probably going to come in lower owned. I think this is maybe the best center GPP play to take shots on.
Yeah, and things can only get better for him. Like if McDaniels is out, they probably start Conley, which is better for him. That's what we seen last game, and he
Hmm.
benefited from that.
What about Nas Reed at 6,800? It's a dumb price.
Yeah, I don't mind it. Someone you can mix in. He has a ceiling, so I don't mind it. Power forward eligible is nice.
You mentioned Mike Conley at 3,500. I don't think he's the worst play. If we
No,
get that Daniels is out news later, then Conley's going to come in unowned. And if he helps you maybe swap up one of your other positions to someone on Minnesota or someone on Denver, doesn't seem too bad.
yeah, I plan on having quite a bit of pieces from this game. So if
Same.
news does break that way, then I should be able to swap to Conley pretty easily. I don't think he's worth like planning ahead for, but like we both plan on having quite a bit of spots in this game.
Yeah, I'm expecting to have a lot of ownership to this game to both teams. And since I will be late swapping throughout the day, I'm not expecting to go into this game still having all that ownership. If nothing else, it'll give me flexibility to do whatever I want throughout the day because, well, I'll dive into Denver when we get there. But DiVincenzo seems fine. I think that's the last player here. Anything else you want to mention?
No, not really.
So with Denver, I'm getting this might be the team I'm actually getting the most exposure to. It's because my value stuff is really messed up with Peyton Watson, Bruce Brown, and Tim Hardaway Jr. right now. Those guys are popping a ton. Joe Val's only 3,400. He's going to pop a ton, and then still love Jamal Murray. Really hard to get to Jokic actually with the other options we have, but I think this team's really interesting. I'm going to have a ton of ownership. I'm going to be swapping off of it throughout the day. Hopefully, some news comes out that lets us take advantage of it. And then even if I go into this game with all the ownership, I won't be too disappointed. These guys seem like pretty good plays, even going against what I just said was a top five defense in the NBA now.
Yep, that's how I feel about it too. Going into the slate, I'm fine with having the ownership I do currently on this team. Like you said, all these plays are going to open up, or if anything opens up, you kind of have more flexibility. Currently, like you said, it's pretty hard to get to Jokic, like with what we currently have. On FanDuel, my first run, I only got to 5% Jokic, which feels terrible. I'll probably adjust that and make sure I get more, but I do think he looks good. I'm getting a lot of those guys that you mentioned: Peyton Watson, Tim Hardaway, Bruce Brown. I don't know how much I want of all three of them like together, but I still got to make adjustments to that. But I think they're all solid plays.
I asked you about that specific rule the other day, Max one of Bruce Brown and Tim Hardaway, and you said you could see it, but you could see going without it too. And on this slate, I don't think I want to make that rule, but if I end up getting a ton of lineups with Watson, Hardaway, and Bruce Brown, then I'm going to at least have to put max two of those three guys.
Yeah, I like that. I think you could definitely run with that.
And no Cameron Johnson, right? He's already ruled out.
Yep.
What do you think about Spencer Jones?
Yeah, I think as a tournament play, you could definitely get there. FanDuel, it's harder to get there. He's 4,400 there, but on DraftKings, I think you could mix him in.
Yeah, not a great value play, but he will come in way lower owned than his teammates if what we have right now is any indication. So don't hate it, but it would probably just be a slight boost to the other guys. Cam Johnson being out, whoever ends up starting is going to look good probably.
Yeah.
I meant to kind of build the dummy as we were going, but let's build out a quick dummy for each of the sites right now. What do you want to do on DraftKings?
All right, let me pull it up real quick. I say we start with. I was gonna say Ant, but I guess we could go AD if you want.
Yeah, we can start with Anthony Davis. It's one going to be pretty prevalent in my lineups tomorrow. You want to try to get Ant in there?
Yeah, let's do that.
Let's get Anthony Edwards, and then throw out a couple of your favorite value plays. I was going to say the Denver guys, but I'm hoping you have a better answer.
Yeah, it's kind of who it is. I like Peyton Watson quite a bit.
I think that's the guy I'm
5K.
most comfortable with, even though he's a little more expensive than the other two there.
Yeah, that's how I feel. Merrill, I think
Yeah, we'll throw
4K.
Merrill in there. He's sure to be very popular. Rudy Gobert at center, GPP
Yeah, I like
play.
that.
Who's like the default center play though? Is there like a clear one today, assuming Sengun and Mobley are in?
I don't think so. I kind of feel like Joval might gain some steam, but maybe he don't. Like I wouldn't say he's the default center play. Maybe Towns 8600. I could kind of see that a little too.
I meant to ask you. He had power forward eligibility yesterday, didn't he? Did they
I
change
think
that or
so.
okay?
I know he
So
does
that's
on FanDuel.
so that's interesting. I actually love Towns, so I want to try him at center. Can we still get Gobert at the utility? We're going to be short 3,700 per player. Was there a min price guy on DraftKings we could play?
um,
It's going to be tough to fit all these guys in.
yeah, it really is.
Does Clay Thompson have small forward eligibility? For some reason, that's the value play that popped in my mind. Do we hate it?
Nah,
I don't think there's a $3,500 point guard we can play though. Oh,
no.
Mike Conley, there
Oh yeah,
is.
go there.
Holy smokes, fellas! This is a hilarious dummy build, but I'm pretty down with a bunch of these plays. This would be a fine lineup. It looks terrible, right?
Yeah, it looks bad.
You want to swap anything out?
Let's try and let's downgrade Ant maybe. I don't know. I like building with Ant.
Yeah. What other? I talked about how valuable point guard spot is. We ended up putting in Mike Conley.
We could go Steph.
Yeah, we could try Steph, give us a few hundred extra. I mean, if we still throw in Clay Thompson at forward, we're going to end up with Mike Conley again. Doesn't save too much.
No. Let's see. Point guard.
Tim Hardaway's 4K also. That's a possibility. Yeah, this is kind of tough.
We could play Reed Shepard at point guard or Jamal Murray. We
Oh,
didn't
let's
really
do.
talk about Jamal. I actually like Jamal quite a bit.
Yeah, I mentioned before he was feeling a lot better when he was closer to 8K, but now for me, I'm looking at him as a guy when he's under 9K. I think we have to
Hmm.
play him. He's been a stud.
Yeah.
So we'll put Jamal. That extra few hundred might be enough. Let's try Tim Hardaway at forward since we've been throwing Clay in the last couple. 4K for a guard: Isaiah Joe, Pat Spencer, Okogie, Max Christie to Tim Hardaway of guard eligibility. Forwards for 4K: Spencer Jones is a possibility. Probably not the greatest. Probably still want to mix something around, but could get something going with the players we mentioned. Maybe take Gobert out, but I think Gobert is probably going to be one of the better GPP plays on the day.
Yeah.
Maybe we plan for Sengun being out. That gives us the Steven Adams value. Gives us 6,500 to get to a PJ if he's in. Jabari Smith can upgrade Tim Hardaway.
Yeah, I like it.
Over on FanDuel, lineup very clearly starts with Evan Mobley, assuming that he is playing. I think we want him to be starting, but if he's off the bench and they confirm that he will be available at least, we're probably just still playing him a ton. But if he's starting, I think he's a lock.
Yeah, just free square basically. A lot of lineups for me, at least currently, are going to start with Mobley and Peyton Watson.
All right, we'll get Watson. Both our power forward spots.
After that, it's like getting to quite a bit of Jimmy under 8K.
Yeah,
It feels pretty good.
yeah, he's going to be chalk. Don't mind Jimmy. What was Steph's price here? 9,200. Maybe you can try it without him.
Should have tried on DraftKings to build one with Luca just to see how it would turn out. I didn't think about that.
Okay, we'll go to back to DraftKings. I was going to say we didn't really mention a lineup with SGA either, and I think we're
Yeah,
both going to end up with a ton of SGA tomorrow or today.
I think on FanDuel it's hard because Watson. I was going to
No.
say we really want to play Julius Randle at 7,600. Maybe we
Yeah,
take Watson out of one or
yeah. Let's take Watson out and put Julius in there. We'll get to
Towns
one of
also.
the Towns at center.
Yeah, we could do that.
Towns at center. 8,700
That's
seems pretty
probably
good.
like chalk build, but maybe people don't get to Randall. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if they will. There's actually a lot of options at a power forward. Cooper Flag is going to come in with kind of low ownership, I'd think, at 8,600, but he has three position eligibility.
Yeah,
Uh, Reed Shepard, 6,100s. Tough to put him in here at point guard.
yeah. I'm gonna look at some of the values. Let's see. OG feels pretty good. 6,400. Not bad.
Yeah. Okay, we'll slide in OG. McHale, yeah, that price difference is kind of high. We have small forward fill. We have 6K for three positions. Is there a shooting guard value we can get in to maybe fit in Steph,
Let's see.
Bruce Brown, Sam Merrill?
Yeah, I don't mind either one of those. I
I'll try
kind of,
Sam Merrill.
I was gonna say, I kind of feel better about Merrill.
Okay. 6,600. I don't think we can fit Steph in here. 4K for another shooting guard. Is there one? Clarkson's okay. I don't mind Clay Thompson. He's very scary, but I think he's going to be okay.
Yeah, he could put up 10 or he could put up 30. But
This is something that I pay attention to on FanDuel, especially on weird slates like this, where I really think we want to pay up for a point guard today. There's not really any value point guards that super stand out. Maybe Mike Conley, but he's still 4,200 here, where I'm pretty sure two of these guys are putting up 50, right?
yeah,
And I'd like to give myself a chance to get 250 balls at the point guard spots.
yep,
DraftKings, you said you wanted to take a look how we can fit in Luca real quick.
yeah. Let's try that.
Should we take out AD, Cat, take out Jabari, 3,500 per player? Is it possible? Mike Conley.
Mike Conley. It all comes down to Mike Conley.
Yeah, Mike Conley, Steven Adams, and I don't think any of these guys are playable in here. Buddy,
Oh,
maybe. That's uncomfortable.
would probably have to get off either Towns or AD.
Let's get off AD.
Yeah,
Town's a little bit cheaper, and at power forward, he's a little bit underpriced. Or small forward, move Peyton to power forward.
yeah, we could do that.
Move Peyton to power forward. We still have 6,500 per player. Small forward. Najee's only 5,300. Oh, Cooper Flag 7,300.
Oh yeah, I like that.
Yeah, Cooper
Yeah, and
Flag.
we're fading AD, so I do think that's actually pretty sharp.
Nice. We can probably get off Mike Conley. Was there? Maybe we'll take a shot on like a Harrison Barnes here, and now we have 4,800 for a point guard. Can get to no one that we're interested in still. Yeah, maybe swap up Sam Merrill, but you can make the Luca build work and still get to two other payups,
Yeah,
assuming we have that Steven Adams value. But and then I'll mention SGA as well as another guy that's probably going to be pretty prevalent in lineups tomorrow, and he's a lot easier to fit in than Luca. You can get
yeah,
like
he
two
is.
regular players. Reed Shepard 5,100, and two of the Denver guys. Take your pick. Tim 5,700. Yeah. So, well, Smitty, anything else you want to mention before we get out of here?
No, just be prepared to late swap in case there is any lineup changes or late news that comes out, and just pay attention to how your lineup's doing.
Yeah, I think I will be in the Discord. I'll be up pretty early building lineups for NFL too. So make sure you go check out our NFL content. And fellas, have a great holiday. Good luck.